dah tanya.
So, what is your opinion about today's economy in Malaysia?
So for 2019 in particular, I think we are seeing a sustained growth momentum. So growth is expected to be between 4.3 to 4.7%. This is, of course, slightly lower than 2018 growth, which was 4.7%. But yeah, this is going to be supported by mainly private consumption and private investment. These are the pillar of demand in Malaysia, the one that is driving growth. So aside from that, we are also expecting a rebound of commodity prices, and as a large exporter of commodity, Malaysia is going to benefit from the rebound in the commodity prices. On the inflation front, I think this year there were a lot of issues with regards to deflation. So a lot of people are saying that the deflation is demand driven, but it is actually not a demand driven inflation. It is a structurally driven inflation, in the sense that there were changes to domestic tax policy when the government changed from GST to SST. So the base was different, and once this base effect is gone, we are expecting that inflation would go back to its typical, more normal trend. So yeah, that's my outlook for how the economy is like for 2019.
What do you think about the economic growth in Malaysia with the new government?
So I think the driver of growth for Malaysia as a small open economy is not really contingent on who is helming the government position, but rather it's going to be swayed and moved by global development. But regardless, I think what the government is doing is a good thing. So the government has introduced the Fiscal Responsibility Act. This is expected to kick in 2020. They have also introduced the Debt Management Office under the Debt Liability and Management Committee. They have also introduced the Government Procurement Act. And lastly, they have also become much more transparent when it comes to where their debt and contingent liabilities figures to that. So this structural or governance reform is expected to be positive in the medium to long term, but maybe, of course, change in government would slightly rock the boat and slightly affect how growth outlook is like. But yeah, going forward, I think it's going to be a good thing.
Okay. What do you suggest we as consumers should do to help the economic grow?
Consumer. So this is going to sound a bit cliche, but I think consumers should shift their consumption from imported goods to domestically produced good. Don't reduce your consumption. Consumption is the main driver of the economy. But if you spend it on domestically produced good, it will also help private investment at the same time. So that's a good thing. Second, I think consumer need to continue and build a sizable capital buffers, especially so saying that capital buffers are the things that allow you to take on productive spending in the future. Lastly, this is not a popular opinion, but what we as consumers should be willing to do is we should be willing to accept a slightly higher price increase, especially those that come from the abolishment of subsidy. Subsidy is a dead weight loss spending, so there's a lot of inefficiencies in subsidies, especially the ones that are given in blanket form, such as a fuel subsidy. So if consumers are willing to take on a slightly higher price increase, but then that spending that used to be on subsidy could be redirected and spent on something more targeted, it would be good for the economy as a whole, as the government can rechannel that spending into something that is much more productive, I think.
So what should the government do to improve the economy?
Keep spending. So there were a lot of halts in public projects last year, but that has slowly reversed. We saw that ECRL previously was cancelled and then now it's reinstated. And government spending is a large part of the economy, of course, and that helps to drive a lot of growth. But yeah, aside from spending, I think they should also build a good social safety net, or in the word of Tharman, the Deputy Prime Minister of Singapore, social safety trampoline. So build a good social safety trampoline for those who fell out of the economy, for example, because of unfortunate circumstances, but are willing to rebuild themselves and work to achieve opportunities that are presented to them. So yeah, build a good social safety trampoline. Last but not least, I think what the government can do is, and I think they are already doing to a certain extent, is re-industrializing the economy. So Malaysia moved quite quickly back then from an industrialized economy to a service-based economy. So some even say that we prematurely move to a service-based economy. So it's called premature deindustrialization. So if the government, what the government is trying to do now is trying to build the industry base of the economy, because that would technically help with on a lot of front, I think, especially in their attempt to reposition Malaysia to their more competitive areas lah, for example. Okay.
Last question, do you think Malaysia will achieve their economic vision, and why?
First, for us to achieve a vision, we need to have one first. I don't think we have a cohesive narrative in terms of what is the unifying vision for the nation yet. We didn't have something concrete in the form of an RMK, Rancangan Malaysia, for example, or even in the form of something like Vision 2020. So there's no unifying theme that the government is working towards. So we need to first build on that. But as a nation and its people, I think we are more than capable of achieving those aspirations, because we are inherently industrious people. We just need a good direction, I guess. Yeah. So thank you.